Holy cow! Look at those gas prices. I'm sure glad my vehicle is averaging over 125 miles per gallon. Now, I know what you're thinking. But you simply went downhill for 5 miles, and that's why you have such good gas mileage. But take a look at the odometer reading on the left. It reads 25,330 miles, which is how long we've owned this vehicle, and that's the average gas mileage that we've gotten over that time. Now, I bet your next questions are, what type of magical vehicle is this? And is it possible for me to get the same results? Well, this is it, a 2018 Honda Clarity. And now you're probably thinking, Honda Clarity? I've never heard of one of those. And you're probably right. They're not very common in certain parts of the country. So we bought this vehicle in October of 2020. It had about 23,000 miles on it when we bought it, and that odometer reading that you just saw of 25,000 miles is how many miles we have driven it over those 18 months. And that 125 miles per gallon? Well, that's correct. That's the average gas mileage that we have gotten over those last 18 months. It actually was quite a bit higher 6 months ago, closer to 200 miles per gallon. But our driving conditions have changed and the gas mileage dropped off. But now it's starting to come back up again. So let me explain how all this works. You see, the Honda Clarity is what's known as a plug-in hybrid. And I bet you're thinking, what the heck is a plug-in hybrid? Well, unless you've been living under a rock in a third world country for the last 10 years, you've certainly heard of hybrid vehicles. You know, the ones that have both an internal combustion engine and an electric drive with battery storage, so you get the best features of an electric car and a standard automobile. The Toyota Prius is probably the most popular one on the market. Well, a plug-in hybrid is simply a hybrid that you can plug in to charge the batteries. So you can ensure that the batteries are fully charged when you leave home, so that you are not reliant on the gasoline engine or regenerative braking to recharge your battery. So the Honda Clarity has one of the largest batteries of any hybrid vehicle on the market. It's a 17 kilowatt battery. So how does that work out for us? Honda claims that the Clarity has an average range of just over 40 miles on a battery charge. We have seen pretty close to that in actuality. Based upon driving conditions, we can get anywhere from 30 to 50 miles per charge. Now, we live in a rural area, so we're driving our kids back and forth to school each day and also to various after-school activities, so that's a minimum 2 round trips into town each day, and sometimes 3. Plus, there's also an additional trip on the weekends for shopping and other errands, so we probably rack up 50 miles on the vehicle each day, at least 6 days a week, and that works out to around 300 miles a week. Here we are one day last week, right before I got ready to run into town and run errands. The vehicle shows that the battery is fully charged, and we have battery range of about 40 miles. Now, here we are after returning home after that trip. The battery is right about half, and the estimated range is about 14 miles. The odometer shows I went 22 miles during this trip. So, estimating about 25 miles round trip running into town, I can do that on one battery charge and charge the car when I get home, which takes about 2.5 hours to fully recharge the battery with this quick charger I installed myself that runs off at 220 volts. So after 2.5 hours, we're fully recharged to run into town again in the afternoon for another 25-mile trip, all on battery charge. The gasoline engine only comes on after we have depleted the battery. Now, the next question is, how much does it cost to charge the battery instead of just burning gasoline? If I'm using the vehicle in pure hybrid mode, I'm averaging around 40 or 45 miles per gallon, again depending upon driving conditions. So if I've got a battery range of about 40 or 45 miles, that's about equivalent to 1 gallon of gasoline. So let's take a look at a gallon of gas at today's gas prices of about $4.50 a gallon compared to a comparable amount of electricity. Even though I mentioned the car has a 17 kilowatt battery, it will only let you use between 12 and 13 of those kilowatts because it's not good to run your lithium-ion battery too low. Running your batteries too low will shorten their life. Local electric rates from the power company average around 10 cents per kilowatt. So 12 kilowatts at 10 cents per kilowatt is about $1.20 versus $4.50 for a gallon of gasoline. But even better, we've got solar panels that we installed on the roof last year, So if it's a bright sunny day, I don't even have to pay the electric company for the electricity I'm using to charge the car. So how does the vehicle do when I'm driving a farther distance and I run out of battery charge and have to use full hybrid mode? As I mentioned, it probably averages a little better than 40 miles per gallon in full hybrid mode, but definitely depends upon driving conditions. Here's the mileage of a couple trips I took recently when I was running in full hybrid mode. Driving conditions definitely play a big factor. If you're driving mostly uphill on the interstate, then you might only be getting 35 miles per gallon. But if you're doing more downhill, it could be 65 miles per gallon. And city driving is actually when the vehicle does best, because you're not burning any gasoline while you're sitting around waiting at stoplights. And each time you brake for a stoplight, you're saving that energy in the battery to be used later. Now let's look at some real numbers. If we've driven this vehicle 25,330 miles at an average of 125.7 miles per gallon, that means we've burned 201.5 gallons of gasoline over that time. If gasoline is an average price of $3.50, then we have spent $705.29 on gasoline. So now let's assume that this vehicle was a standard hybrid vehicle or a regular internal combustion vehicle averaging 40 miles per gallon. So at 25,330 miles at 40 miles per gallon, we would use 633.25 gallons of gas. Again, with an average gas price of $3.50 per gallon, that would be $2,216.38 spent on gasoline. The difference, subtracting $705.29 from $2,216.38, gives us a savings of $1,511.09 in gasoline savings over the last 18 months. Now our home charger is a smart charger, and I have an app on my phone to take a look at our charging activity. Here is a graph that we get from a typical charging activity, and it shows that we are putting in about 7 kilowatts an hour for 3 hours, for a total of 10.7 kilowatts. This app also allows me to look at summaries based upon usage in a month. So let's take a look at the month of March. The app shows that we charged the car for a total of 442 kilowatt hours, most of it being charged at home, a little bit being charged at a public facility. And at current electric rates from our local utility, the app calculates that it costs $37 in electricity for the month of March. And based upon standard numbers for a 2018 Honda Clarity, the app is calculating that we had a range of about 1,247 miles for the 442 kilowatts that we added. Based upon our average driving of 300 miles per week, that seems about right for a month. Now, I'm not an environmentalist or one of those greenies. I'm a mechanical engineer. We didn't buy this vehicle solely because we were trying to save the environment or reduce carbon emissions. We bought it because we saw an economic benefit in this vehicle, and the higher gas prices get, the better return we are getting on our investment. So, thanks for watching. If you've got any questions, please leave them in the comments, and I'll be sure to answer them as best I can.